So this is what we'll be eating for dinner. And I'm having Yukon Gold potato bread just to try it. It was given to me and I'm very thankful. And James is having some bread that I made. So it's rye, toasted chickpea flour, omega-3 oil. Anyway, Baba
And
Ganoush,
I'm very grateful. It looks really good.
We're going to talk about Boston Legal Season 5. A little bit about Murdock there. I don't know. I might talk about it again later. I'm not sure. Because I don't know how much I feel like talking about it right now. I'm pretty tired. But anyway, we love Murdock.
13th season, eh?
Yeah. So we've talked about the second half of this season already. And so now this is the first half. And there's a couple things that I find deeply worrying that I'm noticing on TV lately. The idea that the medical community. Did you want me to just pour this on your thing, or?
Sure.
Okay.
I've cleared it.
As much as I love the character of what's Murdock's wife's name?
Something Julia Ogden?
Oh yes, I think that's it.
I don't know what it is. Something.
Julia. I think it's Julia.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, and which is interesting. At that time, she kept her last name. So when they were married, because we learned that in watching it. Murdock was talking to the neighbors. He introduced his wife as such. Anyway, or referred to her as such. So, yesterday, earlier this morning, somebody that I knew saw me on the way while I was walking out, and they said, "Ooh, you're losing a lot of weight," and I said, "No, I'm about the same." I said, "I just haven't been eating the garbage stuff, the instant stuff."
Yeah.
But now today I am, because I went to the Salvation Army Furniture Depot, and well, I'm not meaning to say that this is garbage food. I'm very grateful for this food. It's instant food, and I'm tired, and I don't feel like really cooking anything right now. So
it's not the best.
It's not the best stuff.
Garbage food is.
This is good. It has like all of these ingredients I feel very happy with. So I'm not meaning to say this. I had a selection of a whole bunch of things I could choose from.
Real garbage food.
Yeah.
Like cakes, you were saying.
Cakes and stuff, and I didn't choose those
Avoided
things.
the temptation.
Yeah. So which is tough for me. I would like to eat the cakes and the cookies and everything else. So, anyway. Can you take that metal off your plate?
Oh, sure.
And you'll have to dunk your bread
In it?
Yeah, there's still more left in this container. There's just... Anyway, so, what was I going to say? Lately in TV, I've been noticing more and more of the medical doctors being angels of mercy sort of thing. And
you mean like killing people?
Yep. They're referred to as such. And as much as Murdock's wife in this, it seems like a lovely person, and she's a wonderful character. Doctors, it is not okay for doctors to take it upon themselves to decide, oh, I'm being kind and I'm putting a person out of their misery, even though they are unable to voice that they want to be put out of misery. That's murder. If you're doing that without a person's permission, that's murder. That's definitely, there's no question about it. It's worrying me that I'm seeing this more and more on TV shows. It was on Boston Legal, which was a while back, and I'm seeing it on Murdock now. And I've had a lot of problems with the medical community, as has James. They tried to put him out of his misery without his permission by not diagnosing him with
Negligence.
cancer for a long time.
Oh, they
And
were
now he's
awful.
gotten an apology from one doctor.
2 apologies
Okay.
in the space of
And
about
so
5 minutes. But
what he said was, what did you say to as a response? to-
well, that's nice. You know, they've been told that they can do it now, and
yeah, they can apologize
I
now
said,
because
you know, like I can forgive you, but dude, you owe me tens of thousands of dollars. I've
More
got
than that.
tens
Yeah.
of thousands adds up. So it could be hundreds of tens of thousands. But and I didn't say dude. I was way more respectful than the idiot deserved. And he was the guy that made it so that I just didn't want to see medical people.
yeah. And I got to that
for
point too.
years, you know.
I mean, you get so abused by them
yeah.
that finally you just go, I can't deal with it. I can't possibly go in there again and get abused more. I just can't handle anymore. It's like a kind of post-traumatic stress disorder or something that they give you.
Yeah, this guy was, you know, like he thinks he's an internist and he thinks he's a specialist. I'm not going to say what he thinks he's a specialist in because he'd be immediately identifiable.
So after being abused for years and years and years, decades, no sane person would accept that a doctor, a medical professional of any type, would really be an angel of mercy with the patient's best interest at heart. So, and they've done that to themselves. So,
Well,
nothing
you know,
that-
like how have they suffered? You know, they've
Yeah.
done that to themselves. I mean, you know, like a doctor was whacked a while back here in Alberta.
yeah. But
I don't know what was the precipitating factor, but you know, I wouldn't be surprised if the doctor had been nasty to the individual.
Well, I'm
who
going to
did the
say
whack.
right now that if some doctor decides, oh, I'm going to put down James or Pauline with the angel of mercy sort of attitude, no, that's unacceptable. Right now, if you do that to James, I will come after you. If you do that to me, he will come after you.
I will come
Do
after
not
you with
murder me.
everything legal
Yeah.
available.
Don't try to justify it. Don't try to say, oh, I'm being so kind by doing this. Anyway. Now, this was the last season of Boston Legal.
Too
And
bad.
I watched,
Only
and
fifth
I really
season.
enjoy it. Now, James was probably, I'm trying to find a date on there, 2008, I think. Anyway.
It made it to the year that Obama was elected, so that was 2008.
Oh, I shouldn't have had to look.
It might
Anyway.
have made it in 2009.
So, James had looked at me kind of funny when I had introduced I think it was the first season of Boston Legal to you through review. And I said, I referred to William Shatner's character as a red. And James kind of looked at me like, what are you talking about? And the thing is, William Shatner is very obviously a yellow. And yellows have a hard time playing any characters besides yellows. They really, every time they're a yellow. But I don't believe that William Shatner's character, Denny Crane, is actually supposed to be a yellow. If you look at his, the things that he believes in, like his
Gun
right
toting.
to, yeah, exactly. He's supposed to be a red. And they're kind of making fun of reds by using Shatner as the character to play him. And they're saying, well, he has mad cow or Alzheimer's, which kind of explains his behavior, which makes him seem clownish, which the yellow actors and yellow audience appreciate. They want to look at the red gun-toting whatever as a clown, but that's actually yellow. He's actually. Do you see what I'm saying here?
Oh, I see it. I can apply it to Trump.
Okay.
See, like the yellows were saying, "Yeah, guy's a clown," and I'm going, they weren't taking him seriously, including Ruth Bader Ginsburg. What an
But the
idiot.
thing is, with a lot of yellows, they don't actually understand that other yellows that they don't meld with, right? They don't understand that they're yellows either. They think, okay, well, I don't like this person. They make fun of George Bush Jr. in this, not only by like actually making fun of George Bush Jr., but they have a character that's a judge, that's an old guy, that he says things like, I'm the decider and stuff like that, right? And he's a laughingstock among them. So they're making fun of him in that way too, by giving him making a character that says the same sort of things that Bush Jr. would. And honestly, it is really hard not to make fun of Bush Jr.
Well, he's more of a yellow.
But
I mean,
he is a yellow. He's a cheerleader. And really, that's
Cheney
all
was a red.
yellows are. You see a lot of yellows in the legal profession. They're liars, lawyers. We know that. We give them this little nickname, liars, instead of lawyers. But really, they're cheerleaders. They're advertising something. And then a lot of yellows, they don't understand the fact that they think that everyone's advertising. They think everyone's like them, and everyone, whatever you're doing, it's an advertisement.
You're right about that.
I've had people tell me that. I've had people say, well, like about my blog thing, I've told them, well, I make no money doing this. This doesn't benefit, whatever. This doesn't benefit me, so what are you talking about, right? But at the same time, they were like, well, it's all, you're advertising yourself too, or whatever. Oh, okay, whatever. I'm not going to argue with you. If you want to believe that, whatever. But I'm not profiting off of this in any way. I'm not profiting from informing you of my decision. There's, I'm going to pick this up because I'm talking about it right now. So, in this Boston Legal, they also, at one point, they make fun of bloggers. And I would have normally, I thought very little of bloggers too. And then I realized, wait a minute, I could actually use this, I could do it myself. There's nothing stopping anybody. It's a great way to, right now, if you think about it, a lot of any way to express yourself artfully is controlled by yellows.
Or red. But a lot of it's yellow.
Yeah, a lot of it's yellow.
Artfully,
yeah, artfully. So, by blogging, if you do a free WordPress website blog or another free blog site or whatever, then you're getting access to publish and have your opinion, have your voice heard, whereas you wouldn't otherwise. So if you are not a yellow, it's actually a good idea for you to set up a blog. And you may not think anything of it, nobody may read it, whatever, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you're out there trying to have a voice, that it's like voting, and you know that your vote isn't, you have pretty strong suspicion, even if you're voting strategically, you have a strong suspicion you're not going to win, or your
vote doesn't
whoever,
really count.
It doesn't, yeah. The fact of the matter is you still have to vote, because you have to show the powers that be that you still demand to have a voice, that you want to vote, that you don't want to be taken over by dictators. And the funny thing is, about this season, you have William Shatner, his character keeps referring to, he says things like, I have this feeling that, everything that I always have a camera on me or whatever. I just think that I'm always on TV or whatever, and this and that. And he's referring to the things like the last season, he's referring to the show being in its last season and this and that. And for most of the show, most of the season, people are just ignoring him like, oh, well, Denny, he's mad cow, whatever. But it's funny, right? And then eventually, well, I don't want to give the whole season away, because honestly, this show is worth watching. But the fact of the matter is, I've tried to explain this to James before, and I've heard it a lot. Like, my ex's mother was an artist, and she would talk about everybody else, the lower grade mentality of everyone else, and she really believed she was a genius, and she believed her son was a genius, and he was. Anyway, and he would say things like she had put him in a school for gifted kids when he was young, and he said that was the worst thing that she ever did, because it made me fall so far behind the other students our curriculum was ridiculous. And so everybody out there who's thinking, oh, I'm going to send my child off to these private gifted things and they're going to come out, well, he was smart enough to realize that he didn't come out better from that. So he had to pull up his own bootstraps.
Behind people in public schools?
Yes. Well, and so he had to pull up his bootstraps and teach himself. And so that's so that he could get back up to the level of the public school students. So
take that, Bill Gates.
Now, what was I going to say? Oh, so anyway, in the show, at one point, who was it? I think it was, I'm not sure. Anyway, what was I going to say? Something about genius. So, at one point, one of the characters of the show says something like, where we should fund geniuses to figure everything out, or whatever. Now, the thing is the yellows think that that's them. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Is that they have no clue. They are so delusional. They think that's them. It is, if they're in just a room full of people, maybe 3 people, it's not them. It's if they're in a room all by themselves, honestly, it's not them.
It's not them.
So, they're cheerleaders. They're really good at marketing, but they're not the ones who come up with original ideas. Honestly, they're not actually really creative in that way. So, but they think it's them. So, if you have a system where somebody says, oh, well, let's fund the geniuses to sit back and come up with genius ideas or whatever, then you're actually taking funds away from the actual geniuses to come up with genius ideas, because it's going to be them. They are going to decide, bring the funds yellow direction, and that's how it always happens. So publicly funding the geniuses in society, it doesn't work, because they direct it their way. They don't actually see it's not supposed to go in their direction. The funds should be going to the blues to come up with the ideas to actually move society in a positive direction ahead, with the help of the greens, the amiable people. The yellows, they just pull it back. They crumble society, and the reds keep it so that it's within their control. So if you get aggressive personality types and you ever fund them to lead you in a positive direction, they will not. They will never do that. And this season, they've talked about the Chinese taking over and stuff like that. It's not news. It's not new news. I mean, they figured it out.
2008.
Yeah, and
Understand the issue even back then was you can't criticize the People's Republic of China. That's bigoted. Wow, that's amazing. You can criticize the Russians, kind of, sort of,
yeah.
because they're white. But not the Chinese.
Mm-hmm.
No way. Not People's Republic of China.
Anyway, there were a lot of things like they made
That
fun
kind of attitude, 12 years later, got us in big trouble here in Canada with COVID.
But at the end, you know, Alan is he's recognizing the fact that he might have to, you know, he's thinking, oh, I really don't want to give up good food and this and that, or, you know, the lifestyle that I enjoy, and so that I can funnel some money in the direction of poor people. And honestly, funding money in the direction of poor people, that doesn't really work either. If you funnel work in the direction of poor people so that they can actually make an honest living off of the work, then that's great. If you funnel they were talking in Murdock, they were talking about the system of patents, and one guy, one of the police officers who came up with he came up with the idea for the rearview mirror. He got totally hosed. His idea was ripped off because he didn't have a patent for it. And so if you allow poor people to take out patents on their stuff without the requirement of funding, and then if you have maybe some sort of a program where there's government funded, they pick out a few of the patents that they want to see funded. But again, it'll probably be mismanaged by the Yellows. If you elect aggressive people to manage things, they will funnel the funds in a direction that doesn't actually benefit society. So
Dick Cheney's classic.
yeah.
You know, he was involved with Halliburton, and they were running into the ground basically much of the war effort, American war effort in Iraq. They didn't even though apparently it had been recommended, they didn't even have armor at the bottom of various vehicles.
So I mean, it would have to be democratically, you know, elected officials to decide which.
Dick Cheney was an illegitimately elected. The Republicans cheated enough in both of Bush's election victories, that's Bush baby Jr., so that they won. You know, they cheated everyone knows they cheated in Florida in 2000, but they also cheated in Ohio in 2004, enough so that illegitimately they won.
Well, and they mentioned the Supreme Court in here, in this, and recently somebody has died. Did you want to talk about
that? Yeah, I want to talk about that.
Okay, talk about it.
So she's a big hero, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the notorious RBG. That's her own or her supporters' formulation. So I was hearing this eulogy of her in the wake of her death. I think it was the day of or the day after her death, on CBC, of course. And they were interviewing someone, and this was a strong supporter of RBG, the notorious RBG. And they just kind of touched on it, like, why didn't she resign during Obama's administration?
Mm-hmm.
She just thought that Hillary Clinton would win the next election, and that she would be replaced by Hillary Clinton, not her replacement. would be named by Hillary Clinton. How stupid can you be? You don't take chances like that.
She's not stupid.
What a...
I already
Okay.
told you. She's racist.
Okay. Lay that.
Well, there's only one reason why she wouldn't have resigned. The woman was ancient. Back
She would have been 83 at that point in time. She 87 when she died, so 4 years ago. Now the Republicans made an issue of someone else who either died or resigned in 2016.
So she didn't want to. Now I'm just guessing here. So all of you who want to turn off because you're like, why is she down on? I'm really not. There's what my impression of what she would have been thinking was she didn't want to be replaced by an African American, and she would have figured that's what would have happened.
It could have
and
been,
she would have wanted to be replaced by a woman.
Yeah, it could have been she didn't want to get replaced by a guy or something like that. You don't play games like that.
Okay, maybe not racist, but...
Well, it could have been the combination. There's nothing
Could
that
have been.
says it's one or the other. And it could have been something else. But it's just absolutely stupid. It's put the United States in even more of a unstable situation. You know, Trump, I guess, is going to name a replacement, they say, sometime this week. And then the Senate's probably going to approve it. I think they've got the last approval. I don't think maybe it even has to go through the House of Representatives. If it goes through the House of Representatives, the Democrats, who have a majority there, should try to block it. Now the Senate, even though the Republicans have a slight minority, you know, apparently 2 Republican senators say they're not going to support anyone that Trump names. They say it shouldn't be, replacement shouldn't be named until after the election. Sad thing is, Trump could get re-elected and name someone. Well, no, not re-electing. Might not be re-elected. Maybe a lame duck president still could name someone after the election. That's why it's key that the Democrats win as many seats as possible in the Senate. So, you know, like I've had a number of people say to me, it doesn't matter, you know, like whatever happens with crazy issues, people doing demonstrations and stuff like that, because Biden is so far ahead of Trump. He's 10 points ahead, 8 points ahead. No way Trump can make up that difference. And I'm going, I've heard this a playbook before, you know, like idiot faux left-wingers were underestimating Trump right from the beginning. Right from the beginning. I knew he was a threat. When I was taking stem cell therapy in 2015, is that more than a year before he was elected? 2015, it was the summer of 2015, more than a year. I couldn't stand what, you know, like when it is not very nice taking stem cell therapy. So, of course, the Canadian election was happening that year, and I couldn't stand watching that because I was so nervous. I guess Harper was still running, and after running Canada into the ground, I was nervous about that. But the thing that made me really nervous was Trump, because I could see all these stupid full left-wingers. He's so funny, you know, like he'll never get nominated much. And I'm going, you stupid